doing today, hon?
I am good. I'm having a really nice Monday. I'm really grateful
Mm.
for it. What about you?
Actually, today has been a good Monday. I feel like it was like this weird breath of fresh air that just kind of opened up and like I don't know, all these weird things kind of just deflated for me and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm having a great day. Um I don't know. I had information come through that I do still have a rotator cuff that may need to be surgically taken care of, but other than that, everything's fine. I was like, that's it. That's been my day. So,
Well, I'm sending your rotator cuff love and blessings because that's never fun.
it's been like that for years though. So, I've known that it had a tear in it for 3 years. So, it's nothing new. It's not new information. It needing to be maybe looked at is different information, but it is what it is. So, I'm not even that worried about it. It's cool.
Yeah,
I
well,
swear to you, it's not that big of a deal, I swear. It's just part of the shoulder trauma that took place, which also is part of the Crystal getting her life back on track that's taking place too. See, I brought the book.
that's the Bible. That's one of my favorites right there. And I tore a rotator cuff. Did a bunch of stuff in my shoulder. I got hung up. I got caught in a chairlift in Vail and was hanging from this chairlift, and it messed up my shoulder. And it was also I was a bartender too, social work by day, bartender at night. So I was using it all the time, and it was not good. But it was one of the things I was able to heal with that book and Joe Dispenza and the medical medium and all the other things that have helped me bring my life back to myself.
So I just bought 3 different medical mediums. So, okay, we're going to be discussing. See, Mandy and I talk kind of on the side too, and I contacted her yesterday and was like, "Hey Mandy, by the way, thanks for coming to me in my dreams and chilling with me." Mandy checked me into a woman's home on Friday night. And her and Louise Hay met with me in my dreams and counseled me through different things that I need to heal in specifically. And it was probably some of the cool. And like last night, I even had another dream, and so it's really funny because it's just like it keeps going on, and each night it's dealing with different situations, different people, different experiences. And so I just bought medical medium books because on Friday I had found out that I have renal issues that
Mm.
I didn't know that I had. And so I'm like, okay, Crystal, what in your body is screaming for attention? And come on, come on, come on, come on. When you look at the stuff that's in the book, the Louise Hay book that we always talk about, You Can Heal Your Life, it talks about how the liver is deep seated anger and the root of anger. And you know what? Crystal is peeved off about a lot of stuff, always has been in a lot of different areas. We've talked about sacred anger, we've talked about stuff like that. Um, and I have to learn personally how to let the past be the past and live in the now and just really heal from things that have taken place because I kind of feel like all of these things are, and Mandy, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I kind of look at it as when things come to the surface, they've kind of been under the surface for a long time, just brewing. And because I'm working through the motions and because I'm trying to heal and because I'm addressing my own issues, I think that these things are surfacing now for me because it's something that I can visually see needs to be. And so it's not necessarily liver issues or renal failure that is the problem. There's other things, and that's just how it's manifested. And I guess that's how I look at it.
That's just the way it physically presents from the emotions that
Yeah.
we're holding on to and carrying within our vessels. Our vessels were designed to be faithful servants of us and our minds. And what we haven't been taught so far publicly in this lifetime is that so much of our thoughts and our feelings are what create the conditions in our bodies. And once we start to be able to unwind that and reprogram that, then we can really look at this is where a lot of the shadow work is, getting real with what happened in your life and the traumas and dramas and the things that you're carrying. And resentment is one of the emotions that feeds cancer the most and shows up
Mm-hmm.
in your body as cancer. And how many people do you know that have struggled with cancer that probably had like some kind of crazy childhood or something, some experience that they're holding resentment over? And there's more things that can play into that. We're very holistic. And so there's absolutely chemicals and different things that can interfere with it. But if we can start looking at where our mind is responsible and start with the healing work there, then we're able to really start healing and transmuting ourselves. And it's not fun. It's not easy to take a look at those shadows. Meet Sweet Say Sophia. Meet Deidre. What's up? Linda. Oh, this is so fantastic. So excited you guys are here. We're just talking about a book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And Crystal had an incredible experience over the past 3 days that she's going to share in depth with us a little bit more here, because she's ready. And this is the thing, when you are ready to really, like, you're over your own shit, you surrender, you're ready to call in healing, it shows up in the weirdest, most miraculous and amazing ways. And Crystal had a 3-day so far event on the astral plane that's helping her to upgrade and ascend and elevate and become the things that she's calling in. And it's happening for her because she's created a safe enough environment to allow herself to take a nice look at it.
So, Louise Hay, I'm gonna say I don't know. I actually should have Googled that before getting on tonight. I don't know if she's crossed over. I feel like she has because she was in my dream last night and she felt like, or this Friday night is when it started, and she felt like spirit. And I'm a firm believer in we're all spirit. Did she cross over? Okay. So I was like, I feel like she did.
2017 became the fairy godmother in my world.
Um, but at the same time, I'm also going to say that I have learned through what I do, which is channeling as an empathic medium, that we are all spirit living in that meat suit that I think Sophia was the one that pointed out. But at the same time, we can go wherever we need to be. And so, my clients will be like, oh, Crystal, you came to me the other day and blah, blah, blah. This is what was said. And I'm like, yeah, that's how spirit works. I can be alive and with you. But she felt like she had been on the other side. Anyway, long story short, Mandy came
Because I'm
also with
alive and
her.
was with you, but Louise has since transitioned from this lifetime and back into her soul form.
Which I'm gonna tell you, it's so funny. I really want to. This is not how she looked. She did not look like that. She had short hair and big glasses, is how I saw her. But anyway, how
Yeah, I
she
think she
came.
had short hair for a while and big glasses because a lot of this book was written in 1985 after she had done so much healing work. So she was a pioneer in like the 60s and 70s. I think
Oh,
she was
okay.
born in like 1920s or 30s.
She looked very 70s type 60s ish in how I saw her,
I feel
but
like
she
I've
brought
seen
you in.
pictures of her like that.
And it was funny because there was my own specific woman center that they took me into, which was dealing with traumatic broken women who had been through a lot of stuff. And
Mm.
she had Mandy come and get me because she was fearful that I might not follow her if she didn't have a familiar face that I knew to associate with her. That was what the conversation was. And I thought that was hilarious. I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. And so I'm going to also say that Mandy should really open up her own women's shelter or circle or something because she was phenomenal. Um, such a life coach you are.
It's on my list.
But
Intention.
she told me it was going to be, she was like, so we're going to work on you and we're going to help you understand and we're going to help bring things to the surface so you can really see them and address them. She kept doing this with her hands. She kept on like, okay. Um, but she was like, we're going to address these things the way that they come up and we're going to give ourselves the safety to feel the emotions, understand the problems. If you're angry, she wanted me to be angry. She wanted me to scream and she wanted me to yell and she wanted me to represent whatever it was that I was feeling in that moment. And so there's a lot of family issues and, like Mandy says, traumas and dramas that take place in our life. Sometimes we don't know that those are traumas and dramas until they manifest in different ways. And so there were people in my life, and I'm not going to name them, but there are people in my life that I personally feel like I'm never going to be able to have an actual conversation with. So there's never going to be closure. And when we feel that way, once again, this is something that I learned in my dream, by the way. Mandy, amazing. Louise, amazing. They made me feel like the reason why we experience these things, it's not necessarily being able to see or feel or have that apology that we are told so much that we don't really need, but we really need some kind of confirmation, validation, and or something. And a lot of us struggle moving forward until we have that validation in a specific way. And if you have people in your life that you can't speak to, talk to, or like feel safe to have those open conversations with without them taking offense and getting triggered to every single thing you say and or turning it back on you and saying that didn't happen, because that just, devaluates us and what our experience was. If we don't have those things, then it kind of gets stored in there like we're still somehow not good enough to, receive closure or whatever. And it makes it a little harder for us to kind of adjust to what those feelings are, because we tend to look at those situations as being stuck, that we will never be able to move from because these people are not open to creating that space. Well, just because they're not open to creating the space doesn't mean that you can't create it yourself, which is why I preach a big game, by the way, to my clients about writing letters and tearing them up or burning them or something. But apparently, I don't take my own advice the way I need to,
Oh man,
because
it works. And we got a full moon this Friday, listeners. So if there's anything you're wanting to release, it's great what Crystal suggested. Write a letter to yourself, to someone who's hurt you, an experience you're trying to forget, something, whatever it is you're trying to release. Write a letter, make a little fire, even just light it with a lighter or something, and burn it out on Friday with the full moon. Ask your angels to take it, to take the energy, and to help to start to release it, because it's so amazing what can transmute when you just write it, and the person never even has to see it if it's someone that you're not talking to, or it's not healthy to or whatnot, but you can still release the energetic power that it has over you. And that's a beautiful ritual and way to honor that, because it really does all come down to love. Even your worst enemies are teaching you something.
Yes, they are. So she had me call them in spirit form. But this was the cool thing. When she had me call in different experiences and different time frames, she actually pulled in the version of myself that was affected by that. So if I was 10 years old, she called in 10-year-old Crystal so I could stand with her while she got these things off from her chest. And I was able to sit with her in the moment and look at her and be like, damn, you fiery little girl. You are such a firecracker. I loved me when I was younger, and I didn't even realize how much I did love me, because I haven't, I guess I didn't allow myself to, I feel like once we are grown, sometimes that's just the past. That's just what it is. And it's so far away that we don't focus on it, because we're either stuck in the now, in all the things that are happening constantly to cause that noise. But being able to see myself in all these different time frames and experiences, and watching my facial expressions and my body language, and being able to be a part of that, and then coaching myself through what to say to these people at this specific time. And I am going to tell you, it wasn't always nice. She did tell me it was okay to be mean with some people a couple times, and she said you need to get it out, and it's okay for you to scream it out like this, because we're at a safe place here where it's not going to hurt them, and it's also not going to hurt you, because we're fully protected. And so it was just so cool to be able to share that experience in that moment with you guys, and help you see me in a different way through all these different versions of my life, and see me as something that I've never, essentially, I'm a ghost in my childhood form. It's almost like I myself didn't even belong. I couldn't recollect what I looked like at all, without seeing pictures of myself. I completely, like, separated, I don't know, my life from that moment. Probably when I was 15, that's the first time I can actually remember what I looked like, what I represented, how I was. And then going past that, it's almost like I didn't exist. So seeing myself in all those different forms and being a part of those situations was probably one of the neatest, coolest experience. That was on Friday. So like Saturday night, y'all came around, and on Saturday night we did some other cool
So
sessions.
magical.
Um,
3-night tour, Louise Hay, just for you. Like, wow.
um, on Saturday night, she sat down with me and she picked apart pieces of my body that not only needed to be cradled and loved and healed, but she also gave me pointers on what I needed to do next going forward. And I need to find somebody who specializes in teaching people how to properly meditate, because she didn't want me using guided meditation on YouTube because the electrical or the EMF interferes when I have to have headphones on. It actually interferes with my vibrations. And she wants me to be free in a nature setting from the different vibrations that can affect me. And so you guys taught me how to do some breath work on the other side. So when I'm angry and frustrated, I can clearly connect my space and be able to hone in on this beautiful center of what love is, because you guys also pointed out to me that I give love to everybody, but I never, ever, ever give it back to myself. I am way too stuck in my creation to find joy, peace, happiness for myself where I've come, and also really honor myself and in what I want, seeing what I want in my future, but really living in the now and saying, "Holy cow, girl, you freaking did a lot of stuff." Which was funny also, by the way, because I ended up getting something from PayPal telling me that I had to fill out now new tax information because I'm finally making what I was as a medical assistant. I've grown my business that much. That happened the next day, by the way, guys. You can't make this crap
Congratulations.
up. Like that you can't make this crap up. And so it was a visual way to put the dream to the reality of what my creation was. And I hadn't even seen it. I didn't even see it because I'm constantly just doing this. And once again, I'm not focusing on the growth that's already taken place and sitting back once a week and going, "Hey, Crystal, look at you, you freaking awesome bitch. You've created this stuff for yourself and look at how magical you are. You wanted to help people, and that's what you're doing. And you're finally at least making what you were in 2012 before you had to quit for medical issues. Look at you grow this business the way that you've always wanted." And so that was a way for me to take a breath, take a relaxation, reconnect with myself and love myself. She really wants me to do some solar plexus work. And that's just funny to me because I swear I do solar plexus stuff all the time, but I'm also using it all the time in channeling for spirit. So she says it's the most worked chakra. I have to keep it, I got to pump that iron in when it comes to that specific thing, which goes hand in hand with the medical medium, because she also told me I needed to eat differently, even though I'm eating healthy. So then last night was my first husband's. Anybody who knows me, I've been married. No, okay, I've been married 3 times. I have been divorced twice. And so when we talk about my two marriages, my two first marriages, the first one, they're both very abusive in very different ways from each other. However, the first one, people are always like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you can feel that way about this or express this about this and not have any anger, animosity, or whatever." But you know what? I don't think I mean, the situation was crap and his family was crap. And that's kind of what last night was. I wasn't, obviously, I don't feel like I was a saint during that experience either. I was kind of at my worst at that point. But at the
Yeah,
same time,
usually our worst is coming out when we're experiencing those things.
so last night, you guys allowed somebody else into the space. And I was flabbergasted because this woman absolutely loathed me in life. And I'm going to tell you, if she could have killed me herself, she probably would have. Um, so, my first mother-in-law, you guys called into the experience with me, and she took me on a journey. First off, I actually woke up and I thanked her so kindly, because her and I have always had like this energy with each other. We've always been, even on the other side, I'm like, "Don't talk to me, lady, because I know you don't." And every time she'd come in or try to come in, I'd be like, "Nope, time out, not gonna have that conversation right now." She's still saucy, and so am I in some aspect. But last night she came to the situation and she was like, "Look, I don't want my family to leave a bitter taste in your mouth, and I want you to be present in their life and see them where they are and be able to connect with them where they are." And so I was able to, with her, drive to her husband's house. And once again, like I said, she's passed. He's still alive. Um, I think he's still alive. But anyway, I was able to drive to his house. And in his house, it was a situation where I walked in, we talked. I was kind of like visiting for some reason. I can't even remember what it was, but I saw him. We had a good conversation. I was able to be snarky myself and fun, and that was a big thing because around them they were so judgmental. They hated me for being me, and they couldn't handle me at all on any level. And one of the last conversations that I had with this woman was her blaming me literally for everything that had taken place in her life, her son's life, and her family's life because I broke up with her son when I was 14. I was like,
Oh,
wow. And she
boy.
told me she was like, you're gonna
Boy,
burn in hell.
that's a
Uh,
big burden for a 14-year-old kid.
I know, right? That's why I was like, what? But she had everybody convinced in the church that we were a part of that her and her family were like God's gift to everybody. And so it was definitely this very different view that was presented outward towards me specifically. Was she nice to everybody? I don't know. It's not my business. I don't really care. I just know how she treated me. And so in this scenario and situation, her and I were able to sit down with each other and resolve some differences that we had had in our lives. But then she had also allowed me to see her family and see how they've grown and like see how they've changed too, because she wanted to point out the fact, just like me, you're remembering the version of who they were. You haven't reached out, you haven't tried, you haven't done this. And these are my son's grandparents, and they've had nothing to do with him. They hate him specifically because I'm his mom. So it's just this awful situation. But at the same time, she took me in and she was like, okay, but these are who these people are now. And so don't hate the past version of what that was. If we can all try to move along and move together and try to grow, it's going to help her, it's going to help them, it's going to help everybody. So I mean, it was a great conversation, and I woke up and I was like, that was the weirdest thing, because I've really, forgiven her son, for all the crap that happened between him and I, because he just was a broken human, and there was a lot of stuff that happened in his life that made
Mm.
him who he was. Um, but it just was one of those things, and I'm like, oh, okay, so if we're following protocol tonight, y'all should be coming back with some of my second husband's family.
Stay tuned, right?
So
Crystal's astral
that's my
plane
thing.
turns.
So that's what's been going on in my life. So I decided to wake up on Sunday and I was like, I'm going to reread this book. And I'm really going to read it. Like, I'm going to quiet everything down in my house. And I'm going to, in the very first of the morning, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do my stuff. And then I'm going to sit down and read a chapter every morning before I do that. And then I also wrote affirmations and pasted them all over my house. So when I walk through my walls, I have them on both sides of me, and I can stop and I can read those affirmations and I can start getting the energy moving, because really the energy I have allowed to be stagnant in those chakra spaces that they need to be moving through. And so essentially, I took that injury, that my skiing injury that took place in 2012, that's created that stupid rotator cuff. I've taken that energy and I've kind of allowed that to kind of allow me to be stagnant because of the pain associated with it. There's a lot of physical pain and stiffness in all these different areas, but just because that may pose an issue or problem today doesn't necessarily mean that I can't stretch. I can't create movement. I can't get oxygen into different parts of my body. I can do all these things, and I can bend my bones and make sure that they stay, flexible and healthy the way that they need to, while also trying to find different ways to get nutrients into my body, which is pretty much what I'm working on. And so, yeah, I feel like it's been an awesome couple days for me.
That's amazing. Did you say
It's
your shoulder injury was a skiing accident also? That's
Yes.
hilarious. What are the odds?
Yep, 2012 skiing accident.
That's so funny. Mine was like, I think 2015 or 16, a little bit later, but it was pretty funny. It was an ego blow too, because I grew up teaching snowboarding and I taught and coached for a long time. And I was out of Vail and there was this like newer lift with this kind of like magic carpet thing on like a six passenger lift. And I didn't notice. And I like stepped on it and I slid, and you're not supposed to step on it. You're supposed to like stay on your board. And I just like wiped out, and then I got like all hung up, and then they had to stop it, and I finally get up on the lift, and there's like a ski patrol person like on the lift, and they're like, stick with snowboarding, like you'll learn, don't let this like take you out. And I was just like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. And I just remember it being like the funniest thing for my ego, because I had started like a lot of my journey at that time and being like, okay, this is an opportunity for you to just be like, you're a human and you ate shit and like, and it was so funny, like thinking back on that. So it's interesting that you had a shoulder injury from skiing as well.
Yep. It was actually my dog, and I was cross country skiing. I wasn't downhill skiing. I was cross country skiing. And I took him with me because he loved to be outside. He was my guide dog. He was an actual guide, I think, reincarnated just for me to be here. He was the most beautiful boy ever. But man, when he saw a squirrel, he crossed my skis right as I was getting to jump up over a cement step, and so I was up in the air and he crossed my skis and I fell back diagonally on my spine into my shoulder blade, my scapula, and the right hand
Ah,
side. And ever since then, I personally think that it's nerve damage. I think that that's what it is, and the contributing factor to how I have maybe not. I feel like it's kind of a catch 22 with a lot of different things: the nutrients, what's good for my body, what's not good for my body, thought processes, all those things. Since then, I think I haven't properly fed my body to be able to regrow those fibers the way that they need to, which has created a fibromyalgia. And it's turned into a whole thing now that I've got to really turn around and start to recognize and address, I guess, differently. So I
and
feel
you
like that's kind of where it is.
You can and you are, and you've created a safe enough space to do it. And let me tell you, I broke my back 3 times. I've had
Hmm.
crazy nerve damage and fibromyalgia and all the things. Literally, right now, here's some lemon verbena that I grew out in my garden. It smells like heaven, and it helps my nerves and my joints so much. It's literally, I just go outside, I cut it, I throw some in a teacup, oops, and then I put my water in it and steep it and like let that, food can be thy
Mm.
medicine, and it's amazing. Dr. Joe Dispenza really helped me to regrow all my stuff and reactivate my nerves. I used to drop everything. I couldn't do this for like
Oof.
ever. Now I can grip things and like, so there is hope for you and for all of our listeners and viewers out there. Like, don't give up on yourself, because it's amazing. The body is so resilient, and all it wants to do is heal and grow, and it just needs the proper nutrients. And like some people, like I know Crystal, like you can't consume like a ton of food, you can't like eat like all these vegetables and stuff all day long, but you could down a bunch of juices and like
Yep.
that might help your cause or help you get some nutrients. And so, in teas, so we all are able to find ways to feed ourselves, and that's just the most important thing, is taking a step back and maybe like looking into what our ancestors did, and the holistic things that have been here for a really long time that might support you. It's shocking what can actually happen once you give yourself the opportunity to really try some of these things.
So I'm reading some comments, and I do want to. Oh, okay, don't do that, Crystal. I didn't want to block you. Sophia, I was like, no, cancel. Sophia, you said, oh, I need that help too. You had mentioned EMFs affect me too. Keep us
Oh,
posted. So EMF fields are a thing, y'all. Especially empathic people. I feel like everybody can, on some level, be affected by EMFs. But I have found that my empathy on steroids can actually, like, I feel like such a crazy person saying this, but I feel like I can hear things like normal people cannot hear on many given times. But EMF fields actually make me vibrate in different ways. So when you go into a space or a location, like let's say you go into somebody's house and it's just like automatically something just feels really weird and you're like really uncomfortable, that could be an EMF vibe. That could be you picking up on the electronics in the house or the different like the vibes happening in geez almighty, I can't word right now. But anyway, look up what EMF is. That's what it can be, the electrical occurrences that are taking place in the house. But it also can be people, because I personally believe that people set off EMFs too, except where they don't set off the detectors. I'm going to tell you, I have set off EMF detectors before, whether I've got a bunch of ghosts breakdancing around me or not. I don't know the answer to that one. But I have been known to set off EMF detectors before. So just to look into that. There are crystals that really help manage that energy and what you take on and what you don't take on. But you also have to understand with all the things that are happening, and I don't know that 5G is the same, but I do believe from what I understand about it, it does set off some huge EMF fields into the universe. Um, so if you're sensitive, that will affect you. I can't wear Apple Watches or any of the things on my wrist because they actually make it so I can't hear spirit because the currency takes place that like sends a weird jiggly symbol or signal into my head and it like shuts everything off. So be mindful if that's something that you also have an issue with.
I'm so sensitive to that. I don't even like to wear headphones. And like, I don't have a TV in my room. If I watch something now, it's usually just like on my laptop. Like, I'm just really, I've always been sensitive to that. And that's subliminal programming. Some things that can help you with EMFs and Wi Fi and potentially 5G and all that stuff. Organite. This was made by my beautiful friend and soul
Mm.
sister, Jessie May. She has her own Facebook page and shop and everything called Orgone Original Works. And she makes all kinds of pyramids and different molds and things. And you can just keep right near you to help absorb some of that. These have different, they're made out of resin and they have all kinds of different crystals and copper in order to transmute and release that energy and absorb it from not getting into your body. Also, shungite helps a lot. I pretty much always have one of these on me, usually in my bra or close by. Makes like a huge difference. It's so crazy what these things can do for us. And they're here to help assist us as we're transforming and transcending and learning about our new technologies and what's going to work for us and what's not going to work for us. And I'm so excited too. Hi, we have so many people. My comments came in a little bit later, but Sophia and Linda. Sophia asked if you can talk to people's higher selves. And I think you can. I think just
Hmm.
like you pray to spirit, just like you pray to ancestors, like I believe that this is one chapter in our many, many book of lifetimes, and that a big part of our higher self stays up in the non-physical. And that's what we connect to most for our own guidance. And it's the purest aspects of ourself, and it's the eternal aspect of ourself. And at any point you can connect with someone, whether they're physical or non-physical, in order to learn from them or grow or make amends or whatever it is, and that it's all protected and held by your angels, so you can't cause harm or anything like that if you're wanting to connect with your higher self or someone else's.
I believe everything she just said. So, like, when I see collective consciousness, I believe that that's pretty much what it is, and I think we're all a part of, like, you're a part of me, and I'm a part of you, and we're all connected right now. So, like, on some level, the reason why we learn from each other is because it is us. If that makes sense, like we're all a piece of each person, and so yes, you can definitely call on that higher self because it's just another layer of what spirit is. Because there's so many different layers to what that looks like, and on the other side, they call them levels. So there are different levels to each person that presents itself. So somebody right now could be getting channeled for my past version self because I was their mom in that life, but I'm sitting here right now having this conversation with you. But that's my past life. So it's really neat how it works.
I love that. And Stacy, hi Stacy, hi Pammy Jane. Stacy commented and said, "I've been told that I'm an empath. I'd like to learn more about it. Is there a good book or something that you can recommend for me?" Yeah, so many of us are empaths, and I think every single one of us has the ability to be empathic. And I was just talking about this earlier today. Many of us empaths, yes, we're highly sensitive to the environments around us, but we're also highly sensitive to other people that we're in tune with. And one of the greatest lessons of the empath is to learn that we can't help others avoid their suffering. And in fact, if we do, sometimes it's a disservice to their soul. All we can do is be support and a lighthouse and hold a hand and and have healthy boundaries. Empaths can sometimes feel like a burden for other people, or feel like they have to help them evade trouble or evade things that might not serve them, when really as an empath it's our job to just support and tune into our own frequencies and get really sensitive. Like Crystal and I shared, we're both really sensitive to EMFs, so that's something we're like, okay, let's put a healthy boundary around that. There's many good books out there. Lee Harris on Facebook is one of my favorite people to follow for being empathic. And Dr. Christiane Northrup also wrote a book called Dodging Energy Vampires, an empath's guide to surviving life or something like that. And I think that is an incredible book and shares a lot about the different things that are rising in you. What else do you have to say about empaths, Crystal?
So, I mean, like everything that you said, accurate to a T. I mean, it's just it is what it is, and I think there's different levels of how we Spirit makes me feel like when they give it to me, it's like a light switch. Like we can turn the light switch on or we can keep it off. We can choose to just not use those gifts. Once that light comes on, though, it's like we shine. And, that's when our empathy grows. And that's when we start to understand perception and reality. And we start to try to understand when you had stated that, like, a lot of us kind of try to stop other people. Because we think that it's like, our job to do this. What we don't understand sometimes is that I feel like, and I say this loosely because I don't want people to take this like in a way where you take it on more. But I feel like essentially our job really is to take the things that we receive and turn them into light and be light workers for the path that we have. That doesn't mean we have to hold space for people and understand people's paths the way that their paths are. And sometimes that just means that we have to step away. I can't even like put in a number how many times I've channeled for people who say something along the lines of it was my job, I should have stopped this, I should have stopped them from doing this because people who self-harm or people who do stuff like overdose or have like something addiction in any sort of way, you have those parents who feel personally responsible for not being able to interfere or intervene in something. But that's kind of like where the trauma comes from, is not being able to see the reason why, and we really want to know the why, but sometimes there really is no why that's going to surface in that moment, and we just have to hold space and be around them and know that that's all that we can provide and love them through it. And if they're toxic and you can't have them around you in your space, then that's okay to love them from where you are. Pray for them every day, give them love, wrap them in a bubble of white light and protection, send healing to them for whatever it is that the universe sees fit, and let them be. Just wrap them in love as much as you possibly can, and know that that energy, even though you're not physically intervening in that person's life, that energy is creating something, and those prayers are being answered. Will it save their life in the sense that they are saved on a human level? No, maybe not. That probably not. But at the same time, your job isn't to save anybody. Your job is to live here on this planet and do the very best that you can with what's presented to you. And as long as you're doing that, you're doing your job. One book that I would suggest is by Pat Longo, and she wrote a beautiful book called The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. And I learned even a lot about that. I thought I knew everything about Pat. And when I read that book, I was like, holy Pete, because she goes through like every single thing that she experienced and some of the people that she's mentored along the way, and taught them to understand their gifts, because that empathy creates a space in us, especially if we come from an unhealed situation, or we're raised in situations, or we're around situations, which all of us do. We're around things, it creates a sense in ourselves like we're not good enough and we're never going to be good enough, because we're constantly surrounded by people who don't feel good enough themselves. And so what we're doing is we're like sucking that in like a vacuum, and it belongs to us and it's a part of our space and we carry it loud and proud. But we can't do that to ourselves, because it's really just a way to beat yourselves up over other people's problems. And that's why you can't fix or change anybody. Everybody has their own journey, everybody has their own path, everybody chose to be who they were, birth to who they decided to be with. And sometimes that is a tough pill for us to swallow as humans, because we don't understand the bigger picture. But once we pass over and cross over to the other side, the bigger picture is made 100% clear to us, and it all gets given to us. And that's when those answers come, and that's when that why is answered. And you know what? It just is what it is. We have to live in the moment and understand that there are things happening beyond us that we have no control over. So just control our reactions and actions. So that's what I would say about empathy.
Yep. And responses. And the thing too with it is like the more you're on this path, the more sensitive you become. So even if you didn't consider yourself an empath at first, like most of us eventually have that capability, or if it's, if it's not an overdrive. And it's important to do your best to learn what your medicines are and to protect yourself. Like Crystal said, I often surround myself in white and blue light. I have a selenite wand and sage that I cleanse my energy with all the time. I do meditations and yoga when things are actually happening, or like things are uncomfortable. Like I'll take some breaths and I'll ask for protection, and then I'll do and like it's so amazing what'll happen when you do take those moments. You literally will feel it. You'll feel it come in and you'll feel it protect you, and then you get the opportunity to develop some trust with spirit, and then you start to become an empowered empath, and that's a lot of fun.
It is awesome. It's funny though because I feel it's so funny when you think about that empathy because I have a lot of people when I'm like, okay, so you're an empath, and they look at me like I'm insane and I'm crazy, and I'm like, okay, so and I've even had people be like, but I hate people. I'm like, okay,
That's
so
okay.
you think you hate people, but how do you feel about animals? A lot of people don't understand that there's different layers, just like there is to spirit. Everything is in layers. There's different layers. And so as you grow and that gift that you have, you're going to unravel a different level to what that is. And some of us don't like people because we were raised to think people suck, and it is what it is. So once you level up and you go to that next world, then you're like, when you get the flag and you're like, I understand now, people kind of are cool and I enjoy being around them as long as you're around the right people. So it's just layers. You just have to work on those layers and get to the next space and understand it's going to be a work in progress. You're a work in progress. We all are.
We all are. I'm going back to some of these comments. So after we
Yes.
talked about empaths, Sophia said she got a new necklace from Etsy for protection, but I think it makes me feel uncomfortable in my skin.
Mm,
Ooh, so
not
anything
for you
that
then.
yeah, anything that doesn't feel good, it's okay to say no, not for me. If you were wanting to just cleanse it, you could sage it. You could use a selenite wand on it. You could ask the angels to help clear it for you and see what it's for. And some necklaces or crystals can be really strong, and sometimes they're too intense to actually wear on our bodies or as a necklace on our higher heart. So depending on what the crystal was, it might just be that one that needs to be cleansed, or it just might not be in alignment for you at this time, or it might be a better use because it's so powerful being used on an altar or in your house as like part of a crystal grid. So maybe Sophia, let us know what crystal that is, and I'll see if there's anything else I can think of around it. Oh, and Sophia also asked, how do you know when your ailments are spiritual or truly medical? Ooh, I
Mm.
love that question. Do you want to go first, Crystal?
I'm going to be hated by everybody by this one. I feel like everything is a spiritual connection first, and it manifests into a physical ailment later. That's how I personally view everything in our body and how it happens. It happens on an energetic level first, and then somehow, somewhere down the line, once we don't address it, don't address it, don't address it, don't address it, then poof, here's this physical manifestation of whatever it is that's taking place. And that's why it is so important to teach people the trifecta and understanding mind, soul, body. It all works hand in hand, and if you're not going to connect to the mind and make the mind healthy, then you're never going to be able to connect to spirit. And so you're never going to be able to make your body healthy because you're always going to be, it's all got to work together. We got to bring all those things together and understand things however it makes sense to us to truly get that information, receive something from ourselves or from something guided or whatever. We have to open up to all of those things. That way we can take care of all of those together. I know amazing people who have worked with holistic doctors and medical doctors, and they were able to cure cancers with holistic approaches, and didn't have to do the chemo and all this other stuff. There are so many amazing doctors out there, that work and utilize both aspects of things. So just listen to your body and make sure you treat it appropriately based on what your gut tells you to do. Um, I don't necessarily like pills. um, I don't like taking things that are medications. And so I try my hardest to do things with as much of a holistic approach as I possibly can. And that's why Louise said, Crystal, just get the damn books. Literally, what her words were, Crystal, just get the damn books. And so I got all three of them. Got the ones that she told me. Okay, on Amazon the next day. And so I feel like it manifests on a spiritual level in some form or fashion in the physical body first. Um, I don't know how to say that any other way.
I love that. And I agree. And I think a lot of times it can be karmic. Sometimes you're carrying things in through your lineage. When you think about children who are sick with
Genetics.
cancer or diabetes or certain things like that. Sometimes it's longstanding family resentments, or diabetes is often, not being able to experience joy. Sometimes in your lineage, that was so joy wasn't able to be experienced because you went through really hard abuse or slavery or different things. And then what happens is things become true. Medical is our bodies when our bodies are really out of alignment, and then things happen. And there's this beautiful bridge between Western medicine and Eastern medicine and spirituality. And I think it can all be used together. Like, you know, I'm really grateful all the time that I got an ankle reconstruction because I needed it and it supported me and it helped me. And I needed emergency medicine. But when it came into internal stuff, I found that healing herbs and supplements and things like that worked better for me than pharmaceuticals. So we all find our own ways. But most of the time, there's a root cause that has something to do with emotions or a belief system. Or sometimes, you know, a chemical around us. Like there are a lot of poisons on this planet right now, and it's a bridge between all of them. And so it's just important, I think, when it comes to wanting to heal your body, to be open to all the possibilities that it could be and surrender to all the things that might be able to help treat you with an open mind. And once you start to just accept that and say, okay, you know what, like cancer runs in my family, and I found out like resentment really kind of feeds that. So just like, you know, sugar or whatever it is. So it's important to maybe say, okay, I'm not going to feed my body as much sugar right now as I'm starving my cancer. So I'm not going to feed it as many resentful thoughts at the same time, because that's contributing to it as well. So it's about looking at ourselves holistically and building that bridge and treating ourselves, because every single body is different, in the way that feels most in vibration and what our bodies are needing. And yeah, that's my spiel about that.
That's our spiel about that.
All right. Huh?
Oh, I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like you said it perfectly. I feel like I don't know. It's been such a weird, it's a struggle yet growth experience for me, because I went from being this medical assistant that also wanted to go to school to be a PA in 2012 to being like having that injury and then taking me out of work, and then also becoming a medium in that very short period of time. And it was just like all these things opened up, and it's taken this long to, you know, really start to see all of those things and how important they are. You know, spirit can channel until the cows come home, but until it happens to you and you really see it, feel it, and understand it, sometimes it's not going to click. And so different things has to make it click for us. And so, like I had said to you, I don't know if I actually did say this to you, the liver, when I got the liver issue stuff, I looked at that and it's deep seated anger. You know, it's a lot of anger. It's a lot of frustration. It's a lot of, you know, the liver is the seat of anger, and you need to let things go and live in the moment and love yourself and understand the universe is creating a safe place for you. Safety and security at the root of everything has always been Crystal's issue. Feeling secure in my space, because the rug kept being pulled out from underneath my feet, creating me having to rebuild my life from the ground up over and over and over again. And so I'm just like, for the longest time in my life, I'm sitting here waiting for the next hurricane to take place or the earthquake to strike. And so I'm always on this hyper vigilant mode, waiting for something to collapse around me. And they're like, dude, you're safe. You're creating the unsafe space.
How many times have you already, like, when will you allow yourself to trust yourself? Like, how many times has the rug been pulled out and you rebuild even better?
Right.
It gets to a point where you it and you trust it and invite it in. Well, if the rug gets pulled out, that was meant to happen. I was meant to have a crumbling and a shake up and shit. Not my first rodeo. Decorating the new house.
That's like the coolest, funniest thing when you say it like that, because how many of your clients and my clients and even people who are currently watching this don't have the belief structure in yourself that you should have in yourself, even though 99, 100% of the time you've come out and you've made it even better than before. Sometimes we have a lull period, but it's usually very small. But 9 times out of 10, we do rebuild and we do come back stronger and we do learn more and we love a little bit better. And there's all these amazing things. So what is it in us that just makes us give to other people so much more than we see in ourselves? It's such a weird thing.
And like wisdom is like looking back on all those experiences and all those things and taking the lessons, but leaving the emotional charge. And like, that's how you know you started to bridge and to heal, when you're starting to trust and you're starting to step more into wisdom. So for me, that's an opportunity to trust. It's just way more comfortable to be like, I've had the rug pulled out from under me and shit and all these horrible things happened to me. And, you know, like that's way easier because it's comfortable, because it's what we know. It's way harder to trust ourselves and be like, oh shit, I can handle anything that comes my way. Will it maybe be uncomfortable? Will I maybe have to lose some possessions? Sure, whatever. But you know what? I've done it before. I can do it again. And this is happening for me. And when we can start to see it that way and trust, like it's about trust with yourself and with spirit and with everything. It's not easy, but that's, and that's how we clear our trauma, as we start to say, I trust so much that, yeah, that happened to me before and it was shitty, but I learned from it. True. Here I am now. And yeah, that's got nothing on me. Like, later.
It's funny how it all happens. I mean, like, sorry if Ben's watching this. I don't know if he is. He's at work. But
We love
3 years
Ben.
ago, we've been together for 5.5, almost 6 years now. And so when all that took place, it was just like another situation. It was just another, like, okay, I have to rebuild again. I have to do this again. And I was, I took it okay in the moment, but I feel like I wasn't. The second marriage, by the way, really effed me up far more than the first one. And he wasn't even like, everything that he did was like snaky. It was behind everybody's back. So it's just weird that it had that type of a hold on me in that situation. But it got to me something good, and that was the start of the first dark night of the soul that I had throughout my whole healing experience. And poof, there was a bomb that blew over Crystal's head once it finally started like raining in just what was going on. And my toddler came out throwing a horrible temper tantrum to spirit and God and everybody else. Like, what the hell? I was so angry because my business was just starting to grow and all this other stuff, but I knew what was happening. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to take place. I was told 3 years prior to. So it was like I knew what was going to happen. And I'm like, when I look back at that, I'm like, holy cow, Crystal. Whew. Man, the fact that spirit's still with us after some of those mental breakdowns and emotional breakdowns that we have to, how can you not look at that and say that's love? I mean, like, that is the most ultimate unconditional. Okay, Crystal, are you done? Like, come on now. Chop, chop, we got crap to do.
Spirit won't leave you. Have I read on this show the prayer by Rebecca Campbell, I pray you hit rock bottom?
Yes, you read that last week and it was absolutely
I thought
beautiful.
so. Yeah, and like it's so true because when we get down to rock bottom, we have nobody else. Then we get to truly learn how to trust ourselves and our angels and spirit, and they are there for us always, no matter what. And Michaela asked a question: how can you be sure you're gifted or speaking with spirit? And I believe very much that all of us have the potential to be spiritually gifted, if you will. And you're speaking to spirit by the feelings that you get. Truth feels different and frequent. It has a different kind of frequency, and it takes some practice sometimes to tune into the subtle energies, to get out of your head and your ego and to tune into your heart. But they start like small and with like little signs, like sending you certain songs at the perfect time, or you'll see the numbers, the 333s, the 1111s, the 123s, stuff like that. You'll see signs in spirit. You'll ask for signs. I have a client, she cracks me up. I hope she's listening to this, and she'll ask for very specific things each week, like the funniest things. Like, I need to see 3 pink flamingos this week, and she lives in Tennessee or something, like where they're not natural or anything, and they'll show up in the weirdest, most amazing ways because she like made that pact with spirit. And so it's about trusting, it's about asking. We have free will, so saying, hey, I really want to connect with you guys. I want to connect with you angels or ancestors or whoever it is you're calling in. Can you help me to notice and to recognize the signs? And then you're going to feel it and you're going to get confirmation. You can ask, like, okay, was that really a sign from spirit? If it was, like, give me a confirmation of some sort. And then you'll get a confirmation. You'll be like, oh shit, like nobody else can experience this for you. You're the only one who can experience it and know when it resonates as true. And if you're just starting on all this, like just give it some time to simmer and give it a couple months and a nice season, and let your guides catch up with you and find a language to speak with you in, because they will and they want to. Yeah.
Okay.
What else do we have going on?
We have Jessica Harmon. I used to be able to see memories from people's past and connect with spirit, but I was scared of what might come through, so I blocked it out. I would love to reopen that ability, but I don't know how.
This is so good. I'm obsessed with this. Can I start?
You do, yes, do you? Because it kind of actually is like the perfect for what you just said. It goes into what you just said. So,
Well, and it's just so in alignment. So many people are doing a lot of shadow work right now and trauma and drama work and clearing things up. And I believe very much that once we're safe enough, once we've had enough time from our shadows, and you're never going to be like fully safe or in your perfect little healing mecca or this or that, but you'll get to a place, another chapter where it's a lot more peaceful than the chaotic one or where the trauma happened. And so a lot of times trauma or past lives or different things will come up for people when there's an opportunity for them to heal. And so a lot of times when we see things from people's past, it can scare us because we'll see some things that might be dark or traumatic or something like that. But it's usually an opportunity to help whoever you're seeing understand something on their path of ascension. So for me, I always had a fear of like loved ones that I love dying in a tragic way, and it would never shake me, and I'd worry about it. And worry is a form of prayer, like praying for what you don't want. So, you don't want to concentrate on that if you can help it. But this wouldn't leave me. And so I saw a healer about it, and she did this amazing work on me and saw a past life where I had a love who died really tragically and really slowly. And I was like there with him while it all happened. And I had this kind of hole in like my chakra and my energy from it. And she did this kind of like psychic surgery and put like an ethereal engagement ring back in my heart. And I walked off that, it was like a Reiki massage table, with such a different clarity and understanding. And I was like, oh my gosh, I understood the world in such a bigger way. And that feeling of someone who I love dying left me, because I was like, oh, we're all so infinite. And this is just one little chapter. And so then for me, a lot of my psychic gifts started opening up more and more after I accepted that. And as I worked with clients, I would see things from their past lives. And then when I'd confirm with them, they'd be like, oh my God, I've always had this fear, or this happened, or yada, yada, yada. But it came up to help give clarity and to help give peace and to help give understanding to that person's experience. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, you're seeing that to show them, oh my gosh, yeah, you were an orphan and you starved to death and it was terrible. Sorry. Whereas sometimes that might come up and it's like, yeah, you have some food issues in this lifetime because you didn't get enough in the past lifetime because you were an orphan and, shit was rough back then. And a lot of us didn't have parents and, you chose to kind of freeze and die in a corner and leave this crazy earth realm as soon as you can. Now in this lifetime, you're healing up some of that scarcity and you're learning that it's okay to trust because no one taught you it in that lifetime. And so some things will sometimes come up that are intense with past life experiences, but it's always because there's purpose to that pain and it's there to heal you and help you on your path of personal ascension and of knowing yourself and releasing fears, because we can only control our own selves and our own internal environment. And we even pick when we choose and when we leave, and that's sacred information as well. And the rest of the time here in our school, it's all about interaction and growing ourselves. So, Jessica, if you're interested in inviting that in again, just sit down in meditation, light a candle, have a conversation with your angels and say, you know what, I'd really love to reopen this. I'm ready for it now. It scared me before. I'm ready and willing to witness it. Will you show me it in a loving and positive and healthy way and let me know what it is I can do to help? And sometimes, things will come in like crazy for a while too. Sometimes it's nice to just keep it sacred and take a look at things. And then when you're ready to share, you intuitively will know it. So I love that, Jessica, and thank you for sharing that with us.
That was beautiful. I wouldn't say it any differently. It was just like, yes, yes, yes. It's just the following it afterwards, because that's what it is. I don't know. Do you have enough time to answer like another question?
Yeah, let's answer another. I want to just swing through real quick and just be like, thank you so much, everybody. Marjorie's got a question. We'll go back and check that out. Becca, Sophia. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much. Oh, and Jessica said, I was able to relive their memories to their current life and give them peace. So it was rewarding. Yes, exactly. So usually a lot of times that scary stuff, it's there to help us to heal and transmute. Okay, so then we had a question from who? Meg. Maggie. Do you want to read that one, Crystal?
Sure. I'm gonna kind of say something based on the last person. The only bit of information that I would give above that is that once you do open that door to anybody out there who wants to talk to spirit, the only thing I'm going to chime in and say is that spirit, if you're talking to spirit walking in white light in a level 2 or higher, which is what I do, because I don't want lower vibrational crap coming through to me, you will never hear anything hateful, hurtful about you and or anybody else, because spirit just wants to teach us how to be better people and love people for who they are, where they are, and not judge them on their path. And so if anything comes through that seems lower vibrational or doesn't match up to that, then you're not channeling the right stuff, and that's how you protect yourself. If that ever takes place, if that ever happens, just make sure you sage, you cleanse, you get some salt, do whatever you need to do, and thank whoever you believe in for taking whatever it is, negative energy, entity, and or spirit, by the hand, and giving it to whatever source you believe to be higher power, and asking them to dispose of it or keep it the way that they see fit. It really doesn't matter. It's not our jobs to babysit negative spirits. But because we have light, they're trying to take that light and be like, no, 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 you can't shine. And so we're always going to have to deal with that stuff. It's not scary once you learn how to deal with it and just see it for what it is. It's just negative information that's trying to come through. So just don't listen to it. If it feels off, that's why we have to follow that gut. If it feels off, it is off. Don't say it. Don't speak it. That's it.
And
I
you
have
know,
a stop sign system.
I love that. My little sages, we were talking about it. And that is a good point. Before you want to connect with spirit, there are a lot of other energies and frequencies, and the odds of them hurting you or damaging you are very slim in the first place. However, it is important to get all the riffraff out and to get the clearest possible channels and energy. I do that. I light a little sage. I say a little prayer. Really simple. I close my eyes. I take 3 deep breaths. And I say angels, archangels, spirit guides, helper beings of the highest good, our higher selves, ancestors, creator, and sea goddess. Please surround us in white and blue light and protect us and help us to hold this sacred soul space and only pass messages that are for the highest good. And so it is. Amen. Aho. And you can do any version of that you want. It's about the intention and the frequency that you're putting out, and it will help you to only get the highest that comes in.
It's really funny. Like once you make that I feel like is what people don't get. They're like, okay, because when we're small or when we see stuff when we're little, everybody's like, okay, I couldn't control it. No, you couldn't because you didn't know how. Let's teach you how, and then you're going to be able to be like, oh, boom, I got this now, and you're going to be able to control it, and it gets so much easier. Are you still going to see the negative stuff? Yes, they're trying to do their job too, y'all. But we don't have to accept the negative stuff and just push it away. It is what it is. You catch more bees with honey than vinegar. Just, don't put in the same energy. Just give it love. And I'm going to tell you, I have never had a negative spirit have any type of negative feeling. They've tried. I could tell stories, but at the same time, they can't physically hurt you unless you let them. And so you have to meet them with love. And that's what dissolves them. That instantly takes them back to a space of, oh crap, I can't bully her no more because she doesn't see me this way. Now she sees me as the terrified 3-year-old that's been stuck in the cellar and locked in naked for a week without food or water. She can't see me as anything other than a victim. I've just lost power. And that's the most beautiful thing about what spirit provides. They provide us the ability to see through the eyes of the trauma if we allow that to come through. And that's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift because it helps you understand why people act the way that they do. Even though you may not fully understand on some level, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry for your life because it sucked. So it's a beautiful gift. Maggie, you said, do any guides or loved ones of people who are watching your show ever reach out to you and give you a message to one of your listeners slash watchers? I cannot speak today. Holy Pete. Or does electronics technology block the ability for that to happen? So we should be weary of people who are claiming it's happened. No, we can channel for people. You've got great guides. Your guides are giving you lots of I love yous, and they're really making me feel like you are just a pleasure in this lifetime to work through or work with. They're really making me feel like you have been a wonderful human being for them, because I feel like you've done most of the work and you've just kind of went along and just done what they asked you to do. It may not have always ended the greatest for you, but they are making me feel like you have done a great job of learning lessons, growing through, and also helping others. So yeah, it comes through. Once again, it's the same thing. Follow your intuition. If somebody is channeling I had a reading last Friday where some family had asked, they were like, they're regulars for me. I absolutely love them and their child. But they had asked if somebody else had come through as their son through another medium that their daughter had channeled for them. And he was like, yeah, she did. And it was so funny. He was like, yeah, but then he cut it off at a certain spot. And he was like, okay, so I said this. And then that's where the energy dissolved from each other. And that's when I stepped away. And that's when she started focusing on more psychic energy instead of mediumship energy, which is different. And so he's like, that's when it happened. And they were like, holy cow, that's exactly what we told her, because they knew that their son would never say some of the things that were being said because it was too micromanaged. And that was the difference between connecting with a spirit force or connecting with an higher understanding force. And that's why I choose to try to raise my vibrations past that. If psychics can separate their energy and understand what's being given to them without the ego involved, they are amazing. I know some seriously phenomenal psychics that do kick-ass readings, and I just love them. But at the same time, a lot of people don't understand the difference between spirit and psychic. They don't ever dive into those feelings and vibes to really hone in on what that is. And so that's when he was like, he validated for him everything. And he was like, yeah, so just pay attention and follow your gut based on what you think you're receiving. Have fun with
And
it.
the part of it too, where you said, so should we be wary if people claim it's happening? Like, something that Crystal and I have talked about a lot on this show, and something that we stand in integrally, is like, we will never randomly reach out to people and tell them that they have messages. We operate out of free will, and if someone wants to come to us and ask for a reading, then that's a different energy exchange. But it's just something that's not in alignment with us and feels manipulative to reach out and tell people they need something, or you should do this, or I have this message for you, like right now. Like, as you open it up, you'll get messages all the time, and it's important to stay integral and in your space. And so for Crystal and I, if someone wants a reading with us, it's important for them to reach out, and and we're happy to connect, but neither one of us would ever just like randomly contact you.
No, it's and I'm going to say most 99% of the time I've reached out to maybe 3 or 4 people throughout my years of doing this, but that is because spirit is like, phew. And also, this is the funniest thing, because like I will ask, I'll be like, okay, so this is who I am, this is what I do. Like sometimes spirit's so pushy that happens, and I will tell you what took place, how it happened. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. I'll just be like, whatever. And if for some reason I do, and you are like, yes, I want to connect with you, I don't charge. I'm not going to charge you for something I asked you to do. That's so gross. That is not a good energy, because if spirit's saying, hey, Crystal, this person needs this, then that means you need this. And it is my job to provide, because spirit is forcing me to do so out of love for you, your safety, your sanity, and your whole human spirit. So I don't charge people that I reach out to. It's tasteless. I don't know. I don't. Sorry, Mandy. That was one of those things. I have reached out to people, but I don't charge you if I do. So.
Yeah, and it's a rare thing. And I don't know, we see a lot of it just on this show, like other people trolling and saying things, and you'll see it a lot on the online world. So it's just important to sit with yourself, to sit with your guides and your angels, and ask if it's in alignment. And, it's okay to do a little research. And if spirit's got a message for you, you're not going to miss it. It's going to come through in any way that it can, whether it's through going to a reader, or it's coming through in a sign or a dream or a specific experience for you. That message will come through if you're open to receiving it. So don't feel like you're gonna miss out on something either. What a lovely night we've had here. We've had such great discussions and amazing questions, and we have incredible followers. Thank you all so much for being with here. Ashley and Jessica, welcome James, especially when you have protections from your angels and guides. Absolutely. We talked all about that a little bit in the beginning of the show, and how to surround yourself in white and blue light and protect yourself. And at any point in this beautiful 3D free will kind of realm that we live in, you can call on your higher self and your angels and your team, your ancestors, your guides, to be there to help guide you and give you signs, and to love you and help you to learn how to love yourself, and to send as much as possible.
And we're happy that you found us too, James. Thank you. And also thank you to the people who gave the money in support of us. I will more than likely just group that together and send Mandy half of it at some point in time. I'll let it accrue like in a bucket of money so then I can send her half of it for the Sea Goddess people. Because they're creating a great, amazing thing where she is in New Jersey, by the way. I'm in Charlotte. She is in New Jersey. Mandy, where can people find you and how do they contact you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook under mandeeelam, mandeeelam. My website is seagoddesshealingarts.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and it's pretty easy to get a hold of us. Oh, James, glad you found us too. Yes, so nice always connecting with other light workers. You know, we're all here to support one another. We're all here to help shine a light on all of our own inner shadows as sovereign beings so that we can help heal the collective ones. And wonderful things are coming, you know, our way for us as individuals and for the collective. And we're all just showing up and figuring it out and doing the work here together. And yeah, on Sea Goddess Healing Arts, we've got lots of ways to help you heal yourself and the community that you might live in. We've got all kinds of free YouTube shows. And I just love connecting and supporting and helping as much as I can. And Crystal, how do people get a hold of you, sister?
So you can get a hold of me on my website at midmittenmedium.com, and I am on YouTube as Spirit Speaks with the Midmitten Medium, and I am working on some cool stuff. So if you want to tune into my channel and subscribe, I'm going to be putting things together and actually taking clients and trying to help teach people how to connect with spirit. That's my big goal, is trying to teach everybody how they can tap into the spirit in them. And that's why it's called Spirit Speaks, because Spirit speaks to us all through all, and we're just all ready to receive, I think, on many, many levels. And so subscribe and find us and give her some love also. I would really recommend every person going to her Facebook page at Sea Goddess, because they have a beautiful, beautiful session that was done when they had like opened their space. I'm going to talk about this every time because that lighthouse just gets me, Mandy, and the music that they played, and just connecting and hearing Mandy make this beautiful speech and talk. It was just a phenomenal thing. And also, you guys had just shared something about a crystal bowl, also, that was amazing as well. So, thank you, Mandy, for this beautiful Monday. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you out there. And thank you for holding space with every one of us. See you next week.
Sending you all love. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We will be in touch. Follow us, like us, subscribe. We're around. Take care.
Have a great night.